Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today. Today we're actually talking about my moniker, my name, the Makara. What is the Makara and how does it relate to my main chakra path working, which is the sacral chakra? Now, when I was a small child, I was so hyper creative. I would draw little comic books. I would make things out of cardboard. I was kind of a child, so involved in my imagination. And I remember this from the youngest days. I would create these imaginary and fictitious scenarios with action figures and so forth. But it wasn't until I grew up and I went through this process, and we had founded Primal Sutra a while back, and I started to understand that there's more going on here. And as I had explored into Reich's work, specifically the schizoid archetype, which I found out I was during the time, so I was very heady, and I had a split between my survival and my needs. So every time that I felt like I'm surviving, my needs weren't getting met, and every time that I got my needs met, I felt like I can't survive. And so there was this constant split within me. Now, when I had understood that I can survive and get my needs met at the same time, it really started to kick off this Makara energy. So trauma healing started this all, okay? It was like the gateway, the bridge, right? Now, I call Makara the gatekeeper because he blocks the threshold, and I have a tattoo as well, gatekeeper. It blocks the threshold, right, of temples. So the Makara somewhat looks like this, okay? Now, of course, this is just a dinosaur, like it's a Mosasaurus, but it kind of has a similar look. If you guys envision this monster, sometimes depicted with a snout, sometimes depicted as a sea goat because of the relation to Capricorn. Other times it shows up in other various ways. However, I was so drawn to this imagery, and at first I didn't really understand it. And that's because the Makara is one of the most misunderstood creatures of Hindu Buddhist myth. So when I had went to Bali, the island of the gods, and we had hosted our first event for Primal Sutra, I and Ryan G, my business partner, we had done this bathtub ritual. And afterwards, the water from the bathtub completely disappeared within seconds. And this was one of those mystical experiences that I cannot explain for the life of me. The drain wasn't even open in the bathtub, you know? And this was such a shocking encounter with this energy because we were playing, I believe, the Varuna mantra as well. Now, Varuna, as you know, is like the Hindu Poseidon, right? He controls the rain, he controls the seas, he controls all of that. He's like Aquaman of the Hindu pantheon, right? So if you think about that, he rides on the Makara, and so does Ma Ganga and many other gods and goddesses. It's almost like the Uber ride of the gods, right? So if you think about Makara, it is a vehicle to bring you from point A to point B, similar to the way that flow state brings you from point A to point B. So I saw this visual when I was in Bali, and I saw it in a lot of the gates of the temples to these nagas, or these kind of sea dragons. I saw the Makara's claws digging itself into the ocean floor. Okay? That level of groundedness. The moment I saw that, something in me clicked, and it started to heal my trauma. This wasn't just a creature for me anymore. It was me. And I knew based on the very almost semi-nostalgic sensations in my body as I started to visualize this. This image in my mind mirrored something that I had longed for. A divine masculine within me that doesn't float, that doesn't dissociate, but it holds, it contains. It holds depth and emotion, and it holds chaos without collapsing. So for years, I was that crown chakra seeker, always chasing the next, dopamine hit and that bliss. I was a bliss junkie, drifting upwards, disconnecting from my body and the earth, and also from feeling. I escaped into spirit because form felt unsafe. I feared being overwhelmed. I also feared being here, on planet Earth. But the Makara showed me a different way. It doesn't run from the deep. It lives in it. Its claws anchor him at the bottom of the ocean like a throne. And that vision rewrote something within me. I don't have to leave to be free. I don't have to escape to be spiritual. I can be the one who holds, who stays, who roots with resilience, even when it's dark and even when it's deep. And that's the medicine that I received. That's the masculine that I've been becoming more and more each day. Not the one who flees the wave, but the one that rides it and never lets it go. There was also a time where I would do the Makara mudra quite a lot. And I remember I would get these intense energy spikes because I would notice that this is how a crocodile or a sea monster would strike, right? It charges up energy and then it goes. Of course, I'll speak a little bit about the sacral chakra and how it relates to my sacral chakra path as well. One of the greatest mantras that I've been using for my sacral path is Om Vam Vam Swadhisthana Jagraya Jagraya Vam Vam Om, which basically awakens that specific energy center or vortex, okay? Now, as I started to do this, I noticed more visuals of the Makara showing up for me. So I knew, okay, there's gotta be a link between both of these, okay? This is not just a coincidence, there's something going on here. Now, originally, if you watch my original introduction video to this, it was the energies of love and lust, and Shiva being the bridge, and how Makara is often seen as this monster, right? He's like a demon or something. Like you look at him and you're like, whoa, but actually he's a bodhisattva, a monster who became the bodhisattva, right? So think about the power of that imagery, at least for me, you know, because I was like, yes, I'm gonna make myself into a monster, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep that character of light. You guys get what I mean? Like that integrity, that high consciousness, that enlightenment, essentially. So the enlightened monster, okay? The enlightened monster, think about that. And I know that all like sea monsters around the world are given like a negative frame of mind, whereas in this particular myth, the Makara was revered and honored. This was perfect for me, because it not only helps me to fight against the reptilian warlords, who are also reptiles in that similar way. This Makara energy is almost the energy that breaks out of the pattern of that and starts to evolve using a very enlightened monster energy. So he taught me how to feel without fragmentation, to move through my desire, my longings, my fear of intimacy. All of that was worked through. And I started to understand I can stay whole. I can stay complete. I don't need to keep chasing and seeking and, you know, getting on this pleasure cycle. I can bask in the bliss of my embodiment. So Swadhisthana sometimes means like a sweet nectar, but also means one's own abode. So it's basically home. And to me, it is home, because this chakra is the seat of your emotional memory, your erotic energy, your creativity, and your fluid identity. It's basically the womb space of your inner world. And the Makara made it safe for me to live there. So the Makara taught me how to navigate my memories without drowning in them, because water holds memory. And water also responds to intention, as we know from the Emoto experiments. So the yantra of the Swadhisthana has 6 lotus petals. Each represents a klesha, or an affliction. And this is what I had to go through in terms of this journey with the Makara. I had to face my anger, I had to face my hatred, I had to face my jealousy, I had to face my cruelty, I had to face my pride, I had to face my desire. So the Makara taught me not to escape these things, but to alchemize them, turn them into gold. Don't run from these. Embrace them, accept them, understand them, so you don't have that much resistance against them, that now you can flow using the proper energetics of this thing, because now it's light. You get it? So why does Kamadeva, the Hindu god of love, use the Makara as his symbol or insignia? I mean, he carries a bow of sugar cane, right? He has a steed of a parrot. He's always surrounded by like bees and hummingbirds. But then he has this monster on his banner. Why is that? Because desire is a tidal wave force, and only a beast of the abyss can carry that fire without being consumed by it. Makara contains you, and together they initiate you into a sacred sensuality or sexuality, the type that births art, love, tantra, and even a sense of rebirth. So the Makara began to sit in my sacral, and I almost began to watch the Makara's energy as the Kundalini serpent. It kind of became the same thing for me, because if there's so much water in my body and I'm 70% water or whatever, I might as well make it a sea dragon, okay? Instead of this Kundalini serpent. Like, I designed in a certain way, using my psyche, converting the Kundalini into the Makara itself to help me on my spiritual path as the Vahana, right? That keeps me going. He said, you were never meant to escape the ocean. You were meant to become its god. So a little bit again about the Makara. Of course, he guides sacred thresholds, like at the beginning of temples or protecting throne rooms. It's the vehicle of several river gods and goddesses, both cosmic law and oceanic emotion and wisdom. In the Jyotish, of course, in the Vedic astrology, the Makara is known as the sign Capricorn. That means it's like half terrestrial mastery and half aquatic depth, or you could say half subconscious depth. So climbing the peak while diving into the abyss is the true sign of the yogi. So it looks fierce because it's like an etheric firewall, right? It holds off psychic intruders from this sacred space. So they're actually terrified of him. Its front is all land animals, and its back is all aquatic animals, right? Stag, elephant, peacock in the front. Back is like a fish, a dolphin, or a crocodile. Like these deep limbic forces. Walks the middle path. It walks the middle way because it's half aquatic, half terrestrial. Land and sea, mind and emotion, sky and root. You get the idea. Makara is a threshold of transformation archetype. You'll meet him whenever you go into priesthood, mastery, or probably even madness. So the Makara teaches you don't block chaos, you channel it. The overflow doesn't mean the breakdown. It means an initiation is beginning. So whenever I break out in tears or some like thing crashes or something breaks out, I notice the Makara reminding me of my mission at those times. Born from chaos, became a bodhisattva guardian. And this is similar to you, right? Born into sin where your shadow isn't wrong, it's just waiting for you to initiate it. Monsters don't disappear, some become bodhisattvas. So I used to go into deep meditations and ask the Makara, like, show me what I've been avoiding. Let me meet this emotion without fear. So how would you, as a listener, find your own sacral chakra guide? This isn't going to be very intellectual, it's very vibrational. So you have to feel through it. One of the things you can ask is, who holds me when my waters churn? Well, your sacral deity reveals itself through a pull, a primal emotion, and you'll notice a pattern. Number one is to track the archetypes that trigger you, okay? What awakens your jealousy, your shame, your repressed sexuality? What brings up all of that stuff? Is it a figure? Is it mythic? Is it personal? That's usually the Miratrue Swadhisthana frequency. Is it a fierce goddess like Kali who devours shame? Is it a trickster like Hermes that dances with emotional fluidity? Or is it a beast like the Makara who holds chaos with grace? Revisit your emotional memories where you felt most alive and most rejected. In the moments of overwhelm or emotional ecstasy, who did I pray to, consciously or unconsciously? That's usually your guide or your deity. It's the one who watches from the shadows. So of course, dream work is always a good thing. So just track different things that you're seeing. Maybe you're seeing a lot of dolphins, maybe you're seeing different signs. I think one of the best ways for you to figure out who your sacral chakra guide is through slow integrative dance, right? Improvisational dance movements. If you just allow yourself to dance, put on some music that's very slow and kind of brings you into your body more, and you just allow yourself to move how you want to move, that feels most freeing to you. Who is watching me now in the unseen, you could ask, as this process is over. Sometimes it'll show up as different things, right? Images, colors, animals, things like this. point is not to rush to the end of the finish line. Just write it down. So your sacral chakra guide is the one that can hold chaos without flinching. It's not the one that purifies you, but it almost sees your mess as sacred. Your lust, your artistry, maybe your inner ache for yourself or the planet. So they don't want your perfection, they want your honesty. So you gotta let your inner water speak, okay? This is kind of tough for a lot of men to tap into the sacral chakra because it takes a little bit of that feminine energy in order for you to receive, be nurturing, right? Giving yourself that silence within. Deep stillness, including deep movement. So find a combination within you of deep movement, of like chaotic dance, ecstatic dance, and then sitting in stillness afterwards to reflect on that. Because after you do ecstatic dance, you'll notice the chi is alive within your body. It'll be a lot more easier to meditate when your whole body's activated and you feel completely within your body. So of course, if you want to know more, we have a mystery school, so you can sign up and we'll get you started on this path to make it nice and swift for you. So Makara could also be considered a psychopomp to ferry souls into the afterlife, or even between liminal spaces. In the ancient tantric rituals, his energy was invoked during ego death, guiding the person through the inner drowning without losing the form. And Makara also helps me go into the astral with protection. I think the Makara for me also kind of governs the first three chakras because it does kind of have all three energies. It's strange to think the animal instinct powers love, but this is really why Kamadeva has it as his logo. Makara's placement in temples is actually a mudra in architecture. A lot of Dravidian or Khmer temples, they were like energetic devices. They're placed at the water spouts, they channeled astral weather, drained psychic overwhelm from the earth grids, and also purified timelines. If you've noticed, some gods also have Makara as an earring, as a jewelry actually. Some yogic maps, and this is very secret information, have a 13th archetype in the zodiac that goes between Capricorn and Aquarius, which was the Makara originally. This is where time coils and karma can be rewritten. So he's essentially the gatekeeper of forbidden timeline edits. In Vajrayana Buddhism, even certain wrathful deities, like Yamantaka, Vajrakilya, have Makaras on the outer edges of their mandala. This means that Makara doesn't protect you from evil. It protects evil from being misused. It keeps the seeker from rushing into power that they aren't ready to wield yet. In rare Tibetan texts, the Makara is said to bite into the Akashic shell and extract a tusk of memory from your soul's forgotten incarnations. So that's like your ancestral DNA awakened. It's like you can turn the tusk into a wand or a weapon. So this is like a living inscription key to your spiritual depth, right? It might just unwrap a sealed memory from your oversoul. But irregardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tapping in. I hope this helps you and gives you some understanding of my journey and this path. And may you never be the same again. May the flow be with you. Take care. I'll see you soon. See you at the top. Much love.